Thank you for joining us for the final performance of 1776. I would like to tell you how proud I am of this group. They have done an amazing job. It's a difficult show, very, very difficult show. And it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed every single second that I've spent with them. By the way, my name is Cheryl Van Dusen. I am the director and also the local music teacher here at high school and at the lower school. We've had a great amount of fun, and we've learned a lot. I think you will probably learn a lot, too, about the Declaration and how it almost didn't happen. Thank you again for coming, and I hope you enjoy 1776.
I have come to the conclusion that one useless man is called a disgrace, that two are called a law firm, and that three or more become a Congress. And by God, I have had this Congress. For 10 years, King George and his parliament have gulled, sullied, and diddled these colonies with their illegal taxes. Stamp Acts, Townsend Acts, Sugar Acts, Tea Acts. And when we dared stand up like men, they stopped our trade, seized our ships, blockaded our ports, burned our towns, and spilled our blood. And still, this Congress refuses to grant any of my proposals on independence, even so much as the courtesy of open debate. Good God, what in hell are they waiting for?
Sit down, John, sit down, John, for God's sake, John, sit down. Sit down, John, sit down, John, for God's sake, John, sit down. Open up a window, it's 90 degrees, have mercy, John, please. It's hot as hell in Philadelphia. I'll open up a window.
I say vote yes, vote yes, vote for independence.
Someone open up a window.
I say vote yes,
Sit down, John.
vote for independence.
Someone open up a window. No, 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 too many flies, too many flies. No, it's hot as hell, Philadelphia.
Open up a window.
Can't we compromise here?
Vote yes,
No, too many flies here.
vote yes.
Oh, for God's sake, John, sit down.
Good God! Consider yourselves all fortunate that you have John Adams to abuse, for no sane man would tolerate it.
John, you're Lord. We've heard this before. Now, for God's sake, John, sit down.
Say vote yes.
No!
Vote yes.
No!
Vote for independence.
Someone open up a window.
I say vote yes.
Sit down, John.
Vote for independence.
Will someone shut that man up?
Never. Never. Good God. A whole year they have been sitting here, doing nothing. A whole year. I do believe you've laid a curse on North America. A curse that we hear now rehearse in Philadelphia. A second Florida simple famine, plagues of locusts everywhere, or a cataclysmic earthquake, I'd accept with some despair. But no, you sent us Congress. Good God, sir, was that fair? I say this with humility in Philadelphia, where your responsibility in Philadelphia. If you don't want to see us hanging on some far-off British hill, if you don't want the voice of independency forever still, then God, sir, get thee to it, for Congress never will. You see, we piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Not one damn thing do we solve. Piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Nothing's ever solved in foul now call the Congress's attention to the petition of Mr. Melchior Men, who claims $20 compensation for his dead mule. It seems as if the animal was employed transporting luggage in service of the Congress.
The question then would appear to be one of occasion, for if the mule expired not while carrying, but after being unloaded, then surely the beast dropped dead on its own time.
Dear God, you see we piddle, twiddle, and resolve, not one damn thing to be solved. Piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Nothing's ever solved in fall. Feeding, viewing, plugging, filthy Philadelphia. Oh, Abigail, Abigail, I have such a desire to knock heads together.
I know, my dearest, I know. That's because you make everything so complicated. It's quite simple, really. Just tell the Congress to declare Independence Day. Then sign your name, get out of there, and hurry home to me. Our children all have dysentery. Little Ted keeps turning blue. Little Larry has the measles, and I'm coming down with flu. They say we may get smallpox.
Madam, what else is new? Abigail, in my last letter, I wrote you that the king has gathered 12,000 German mercenaries to send against us. I asked you to organize the ladies to make saltpeter for gunpowder. Have you done as I asked?
No, John, I have not.
Why have you not?
Because you neglected to tell us how saltpeter is made.
By treating sodium nitrate with potassium chloride, of course.
Oh, yes, of course.
Will it be done then?
John, I'm afraid we have a more urgent problem.
More urgent, madam.
There's one thing every woman's missed in Massachusetts Bay. Don't smirk at me, you egotist, babe. Hear to what I say. We've gone from Framingham to Boston, and we cannot find a pin. Don't you know that there's a war on? Say the tradesman, the grin. Well, we will not make saltpeter until you send us pins.
Pins, madam. Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Done, madam. Done.
Done, John. Hurry home, John.
As soon as I'm able.
Don't stop writing. It's all I have.
Every day, my dearest Fred.
Tell them
Till then, I am as I ever was, and ever shall be.
yours, yours.
Saltpeter, John.
Pins. Abigail.
Oh, for God's sake, John, sit down.
Franklin! Franklin! Franklin, where in God's name are you? Franklin, there you are. Where were you when I needed you? You heard what I suffered in there.
Heard? Of course I heard. Along with the rest of Philadelphia. Lord, your voice is piercing, John.
I wish to heaven my arguments were. Good God, Franklin, when will they make up their minds? With one hand, they could raise an army, dispatch one of their own to lead it, and cheer the news from Bunker's Hill. But with the other, they wave the olive branch and beg the king for a happy and permanent reconciliation. Fat George has declared us in rebellion. Why can't they?
John, really? You talk as if independence were the rule. It's never been done before. No colony has ever broken from the parent stem in the history of the world.
Franklin, you make us sound treasonous.
Do I? Treason. Treason was a charge invented by the winners as an excuse for hanging the losers.
I have more to do than stand here listening to you quote yourself.
There's a new one.
Damn it, Franklin, we're at war.
To defend ourselves, nothing more. We expressed our displeasure the English moved against us. Now we, in turn, have resisted. Now our fellow congressmen want to effect a reconciliation before it becomes a war.
Reconciliation. The people want independence.
The people have read Mr. Paine's Common Sense. I doubt the Congress has. John, why don't you give it up? No one listens to you. You're obnoxious and disliked.
I'm not promoting John Adams. I'm promoting independence.
Evidently, they cannot help but connect the two.
What are you suggesting?
Let someone else in Congress propose.
Never. Who did you have in mind?
I don't know. I really haven't given it much thought.
You sent for me, Benjamin?
Never.
Hello, Johnny!
Richard.
Richard, John and I need some advice.
If it's mine to give, it's yours, you know that.
Thank you, Richard. Now, as you know, the cause that we support has come to a complete standstill. Why do you suppose that is?
Obvious. Johnny is obnoxious and disliked.
Yes, that's true. Now, what's the solution, I wonder?
Get somebody else in Congress to propose.
Richard, that's brilliant! Isn't that brilliant, John?
Brilliant.
Yes, now the question remains. Who can it be? The man we need must belong to a delegation publicly committed to supporting independence. And at the present time, only Delaware, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts have declared our way.
And Virginia. Don't forget Virginia.
Oh, I haven't, Richard. How could I? But while Virginia's views on independence are well known, your legislator in Williamsburg has not yet formally authorized a delegation here in Congress to support the cause. Of course, if you could think of a Virginian with enough influence to go down there and persuade the House of Burgesses.
Damn it, I haven't thought of someone.
Who?
Me.
Why didn't I think of that?
I'll leave tonight. I'll leave right now if you like. Virginia, the land that gave us our glorious commander-in-chief, George Washington, will now give the continent its proposal on American independence. Gentlemen, a salute to Virginia, the land of American independence.
Incredible. We're free, and he hasn't even left yet. What makes you so sure you can do it?
My name is Richard, and really, Virginia is my home. My name is Richard, and really, Virginia is my home. And may my horses turn to blue if I can live up to you for a solution on independence. For I'll be FFP, the first family in the southern colony of Virginia. Yes, FFP, the oldest colony in the oldest colony of America. And may the prince burn down the land if I can't deliver your hand for a solution on independence. You see it's yearly, barely, everywhere, only,
Socially, political, financial, natural, internal, external, fraternal, eternal, and me, the first family in the southern colony of Virginia.
and may my hair fall from my head if I can't deliver what I said for a solution on independence.
Spoken modestly, God help us.
They say that God in heaven is everybody's God.
Amen.
They say that God in heaven is everybody's God. But I tell you, John McGrath, your leaves are living on the side of the leaves of old Virginia. They see it's barely, everywhere only, barely, everywhere only. Look out, there's Arthurly, Billy and General Black Horse Harry Lee, Lovely and Lily Lee,
And Richard A.
That was the most revolting display I have ever witnessed.
They're warm-blooded people, Virginians.
Not him, Franklin, you! You and your infernal obsession for deviousness. If you would have come out and asked him straight, he would have been gone a half hour ago.
Cheer up, John. At this very moment, our cause is again riding high, sitting straight in the saddle and in full gallop through Virginia.
Yes, I'm Dr. Lyman Hall, a new delegate from Georgia.
Ah, I'm Andrew McNair, congressional custodian. If you'll be wanting anything at all, just holler out McNair, as you'll hear the others do, and there won't be too long to wait.
Where does the Georgia delegate belong?
Oh, they mill about over here, next to the two Carolinas.
It's after 10. I was told the Congress convenes at 10.
Oh, they'll be coming in any time now with old Graping Guts leading the pack.
Old who?
McNair!
Graping Guts!
McNair, fetch me a mug of rum.
Mr. Hopkins, you'll be pleased to meet Dr.
I don't need a
Lyman.
doctor, darn it.
Oh, new delegate from Georgia.
Oh, why didn't you say so? I'm Stephen Hopkins, old delegate from Rhode Island. McNair, some rum,
I
please.
fear it's a little early in the day.
Nonsense. It's a medicinal fact that rum gets a man's heart started in the morning. I'm surprised you didn't know it. And speaking as the oldest man in Congress.
Ben Franklin's older by almost a year.
Rum! Tell me, doctor, where does Georgia stand on the question of independence?
With South Carolina, of course.
Morning, Nettie. Shake the hand here of Dr. Lyman Hall from Georgia. This is Edward Rutledge from whatever Carolina he says he's from. God knows I can't keep him straight.
A pleasure, Dr. Hall.
Your servant, Mr. Rutledge.
Well, you've got the long and short of it now, doctor. Nettie here is only 26. He's the youngest of us.
Science for Ben Franklin.
McNair!
You're wrong.
Where did you go for a man's debate, John?
Where does Georgia stand on the issue of independence?
I am here without instructions, able to vote on my own personal convictions.
And they are?
Personal.
Dr. Hall, the Deep South speaks with one voice. It is traditional. Even more, it's historical.
Reed, why don't you open up to the fact
It doesn't matter.
Enter Delaware, tria junta in uno.
What are you saying, man?
Stop speaking French.
Latin, Colonel McKean. A tribute to the eternal peace and harmony of the Delaware delegation.
What are you saying, man? You know perfectly well I'm never Roddy or I can stand this little wart.
Gentlemen, this here's Dr. Lyman Hall, Caesar Rodney, George Reed, and Colonel Thomas McKean.
Where do you stand on independence, sir?
With South Carolina, it seems.
Gentlemen, I leave the doctor in your excellent company.
Would you be a doctor of medicine or theology?
Both, Mr. Rutledge. Which is your service?
By all means, the physician first. Then we shall see about the other.
I'm calling it convenient, sir.
I trust Caesar when it comes to converting the poor fellow to independency, which will give the opposition a fair crack at him.
You're too late, John. Once again, they're gone. Mr. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania. Meet Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia.
In honor, sir.
Your servant, sir.
Forgive me. But how can anyone see if you insist on standing in Mr. Dickinson's shadow? Judge Wilson, also of Pennsylvania.
Sir, an honor, sir.
Good morning, all.
Good Lord, do you have the honor to be Dr. Franklin?
Yes, I do have that honor. Unfortunately, the gouge accompanies the honor.
Didn't live it too high yet, eh, Pappy?
Stephen, I only wish King George felt like my big toe all over.
There, fetch a pillow. More rum.
Good morning, John.
Franklin, where's that idiot Lee? I don't see him. Has he returned yet?
Softly, John. Your voice is hurting my foot.
One more day, Franklin. That's how long I'll remain silent. And not a minute longer.
Tell me, James, how do you explain the strange, monumental quietude that Congress has been treated these past 30 days? Has the ill wind of independence finally blown itself out? If you ask me. For myself, I must confess, 30 days free from New England noise is more therapeutic than a month in the country. What did you agree, James? Well, Mr. Adams. Brave on your voice, sir. Let us not be barren. God
God only knows we need the entertainment in this Congress.
Congratulations, John. You've just made your greatest contribution in independence. You kept your flap shut.
One more day. Gentlemen, the usual morning festivities concluded. I'll call the Congress to order. Mr. Thompson?
The Second Continental Congress meeting in the city of Philadelphia is now in session. 7th June, 1776. The 380th meeting.
Oh, good Lord!
The Honorable John Hancock of Massachusetts Bay, President.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. McNair, the stores of rum and other drinking spirits are hereby closed to the colony of Rhode Island for a period of 3 days.
Oh, yes, sir.
John, you can't do that.
Sit down, Mr. Hopkins. You've abused the privilege. The chair takes this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia to this Congress. Hopes you make the best of it. My God, it's hot. Secretary will read the roll.
All members present with the following exceptions. Mr. Charles Carroll of Maryland. Mr. Samuel Adams of Massachusetts. Mr. Button Gwinnett of Georgia. Mr. George Wythe and Mr. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia. And the entire delegation of New Jersey.
I'm concerned over the continued absence of 1/13 of this Congress. Where's New Jersey?
Somewhere between New York and Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Franklin, have you heard anything? Your son resides there.
Son, sir, what son?
The, Royal Governor of New Jersey, sir.
As that title might suggest, sir, we are not in touch at the present time.
Yes, well, very well then. The weather report. Mr. Jefferson of Virginia. Mr. Jefferson!
Yes, sir! Present.
May we hear about the weather, please? As if it weren't speaking for itself.
87 degrees of temperature, 30.06 inches of mercury, and wind from the southwest for the rest of the day. And tonight I'm leaving for home.
On business.
Family business.
Give her a kiss, young feller.
Yes, sir.
From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies in New York, dispatch number 1136.
Oh, good Lord!
The Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President. Dear Sir, it is with great apprehension that I have learned this day of a sailing from Halifax, Nova Scotia, of a considerable force of British troops, in the company of foreign mercenaries and under the command of General Sir William Howe. Sadly, I see no way of stopping them at the present time, as my army is absolutely falling apart. My military chest is totally exhausted. My Commissary General has strained his credit to the last. My quartermaster has no food, no arms, no ammunition, and my troops are in a state of near mutiny. I pray God some relief arrive before the Armada, but I fear it will not. Your obedient, D. Washington.
Mr. President,
Colonel McKean.
surely we've managed to promote the gloomiest man on this continent as head of our troops. Those dispatches are the most depressing accumulation of disaster, doom, and despair in the entire annals of military history. And furthermore,
Please, Colonel McKean. It's too hot.
oh, yes, I suppose so.
General Washington will continue to word his dispatches as he sees fit. And I'm sure we all pray that he finds happier thoughts to convey in the near future. Mr. Thompson, are there any resolutions?
Dr. Josiah Bartlett, New Hampshire.
Resolved that for the duration of present hostilities, the Congress discourage every type of extravagant dissipation, elaborate funerals, and other expensive diversions, especially all horse races.
Johnny, I'm back! I'm back!
Richard, I'm pleased to see ya!
What news, Dickie boy? What news?
Lee, is it done?
First things first. Tom, where's Tom? Tom! Your little bride wants to know what's
Never mind that. Is it done?
Done? Well, certainly! Mr. President, I have returned with the following resolution. Resolved that these United Colonies are, and have the right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain are totally dissolved.
Mr. President, I second the proposal.
Question has been called and seconded. The chair will now entertain debate.
Mr. President, Pennsylvania moves, as always, that the question of independence be postponed indefinitely.
I second the motion.
Judge Wilson, in your eagerness to be loved, you seem to have forgotten that Pennsylvania cannot second its own motion.
Delaware seconds.
You bunch of little weasel.
Has been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson?
On the motion to postpone indefinitely the resolution on independence or proceed to debate. Those in favor of debate signify by saying yea. Those for postponement say nay. New Hampshire?
New Hampshire favors debate and says yay.
New Hampshire says yea. Massachusetts?
Massachusetts, having borne the brunt of the king's tyranny. Yes, I said tyranny. Massachusetts now and for all time says yay.
Massachusetts says yay. Rhode Island? Mr. Hopkins, where is Rhode Island?
Oh, Rhode Island is out visiting the necessary.
After what Rhode Island's consumed, I can't say I'm surprised. We'll come back to it, Mr. Thompson.
Rhode Island passes. Connecticut.
Well, Connecticut has till now been against this proposal. Our legislature has instructed me that in the event it is introduced by any colony outside of New England, Connecticut could not withhold its support any longer. Connecticut says yay.
Connecticut says yay. New York?
Mr. Secretary, New York abstains courteously.
New York abstains.
Courteously.
New Jersey?
Absent, Mr. Secretary.
Oh, yes. Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania, for the 24th time, says nay.
Pennsylvania says nay. Delaware?
Delaware, as ever for independence, says yay.
Delaware says yay. Maryland?
Maryland would welcome independence if it were given, but is highly skeptical that it can be taken. Maryland says nay.
Maryland says nay. Virginia?
Virginia, the first colony says yay!
Virginia says yay. North Carolina?
North Carolina respectfully yields to South Carolina.
South Carolina?
Mr. President, although we in South Carolina have never seriously considered the question of independence, when a gentleman proposes it, attention must be paid. However, we in the Deep South, unlike our friends in New England, have no cause for such impatience at the present time. If, at a future point, it becomes the wish of all our sister colonies to effect a separation, then South Carolina will not stand in the way. But for the present time, we will wait and watch. The vote is nay.
South Carolina says nay.
North Carolina
Says nay. Views I know. Georgia? Georgia?
Mr. Secretary, Georgia seems to be split right down the middle on this issue. The people are against it, but I am for it. So I'm afraid I am not yet certain whether representing the people means relying on their judgment or my own. So in all fairness, until I can figure it out, I'd better lean a little toward their side. Georgia says nay.
Georgia says nay. Rhode Island? Second call, Rhode Island.
I'm coming. Hold your damn horses.
We were waiting on you, Mr. Hopkins.
It won't kill ya. You'd think this Congress would have some tribute. Hey, where does she stand?
5 for debate, 5 for postponement, 1 absence, and 1 abstention.
Oh, so it's up to me, eh? Well, I'll tell you. In all my years, I never heard, seen, or smelled a topic that's too dangerous it can't be debated. Hell yeah, I'm for debating anything. Rhode Island says yay.
McNair, get Miss Hopkins a rum.
But you said...
Get him the whole darn barrel if he wants.
Yes, sir.
The Congress now declares this a committee of the whole for the purpose of debating Virginia's resolution of independence. Mr. Dickinson?
Well now,
got you at last, Mr. Adams. The matter now may be discussed. I must confess, I'm fairly relieved. There's a question I've been almost itching to ask. Why?
Why what, Mr. Dickinson?
Why independence, Mr. Adams?
For the obvious reason that our continued association with Great Britain has grown intolerable.
To whom? To you, Mr. Adams? I personally have no objections at all to being part of the greatest empire on earth, to enjoying its protection and sharing its benefits.
Benefits? What benefits? Cruel repressions, crippling taxes, abolished rights?
Is that all that England means to you, sir? Is that all the affection and pride you can muster for the nation that bore you? For the noblest, most civilized nation on the face of this planet? Some men are patriots like General Washington. Some are anarchists like Mr. Paine. Some are even internationalists like Dr. Franklin. But you, sir, you are merely an agitator, disturbing the peace, creating disorder, endangering public welfare, and for what? Your petty little personal complaints. Your taxes are too high? Well, sir, so are mine. Come, Mr. Adams. If you have grievances, which I'm sure you have, our present system must provide a gentler means of redressing them short of revolution. That's what he wants. Nothing less will satisfy him. Violence, rebellion, treason. Now, Mr. Adams, are these the acts of Englishmen?
Not Englishmen, Dickinson, Americans.
My dear Congress, you must not adopt this evil measure. It is the work of the devil. Leave it where it belongs, in New England.
Brother Dickinson, New England has been fighting the devil for more than 100 years.
And as of now, Brother Sherman, the devil has been winning hands down. Why, at this very moment, he is standing in this Congress. Look at him, ready to lead this continent down the fiery path of total destruction.
Good God! Why can't you acknowledge what already exists? It's been a whole year since Concord and Lexington. Damn it, man, we're at war right now!
You may be at war, you, Boston and John Adams. But you will never speak for Pennsylvania, nor Delaware.
Mr. Reed, you only speak for 1/3 of Delaware.
The sensible third of Delaware.
Sit down, you little roach, or I'll knock you down!
Sit down! All three of you. McNair, do something about these flies.
McNair, get me more rum.
Get the flies first.
I've only got 2 hands.
My God, it's hot. Please go on, gentlemen. You're making the only breeze in Philadelphia.
Mr. Adams, perhaps you could clear something up for me. When we achieve our independence, who do you propose will govern in South Carolina?
The people, of course.
The people, sir. The people of South Carolina? Or the people of Massachusetts?
Admit it, Eddie. You're against independence now, and you always will be.
You refuse to understand us, gentlemen. We desire independence, yes, for South Carolina. That is our country. And as such, we don't wish to belong to anyone. Not to England, and not to you.
We intend to be one nation, Rutledge.
A nation of sovereign states, united for our mutual protection, but individual for our separate pursuits. That is what we have understood it to be, and that is what we will support, as soon as everyone supports it.
There you are. Mr. Adams, you must see that we need time to make certain of who we are and where we stand in regards to one another. For if we do not determine the nature of the beast, it will end by consuming us all.
Good God, Wilson, take a chance. I say the time is now. It may never come again.
Your clock is fast, Mr. Adams. I say we're not yet ripe for independence.
Not right, for rotting for want of it.
Gentlemen, please. What in God's name is the infernal hurry? Why must this question be settled now?
What's wrong with now, Mr. Chase?
General Washington is in the field. If he is defeated, as it now appears, we are inviting the hangman. But if by some miracle he should actually win, we can then declare anything we please.
The sentiments of North Carolina exactly.
Has it ever occurred to either of you that an army needs something you fight for in order to win? A cause, a purpose, a flag of its own?
Mr. Adams, how can a nation of only 2 million souls stand up to an empire of 10 million? Think of it, 10 million! How do we compensate for that shortage?
It's simple, Mr. Chase. Increase and multiply.
How?
Why, we'll more than compensate. With spirit, I tell you that there is a spirit out there with the people that is sadly lacking in this Congress.
Yes, of course. Now it's spirit. Why didn't I think of that? Mr. Lee, Mr. Hopkins, Mr. Rodney, Colonel McKean, Dr. Franklin. Why have you joined this incendiary little man? This Boston radical, this demagogue, this madman.
Are you calling me a madman? You frivol?
Easy, John.
You Pennsylvania proprietors, you cool, considerate men, you keep to the rear on every issue, so that if we should ever go under, you will still remain afloat.
Are you calling me a coward?
Yes, coward.
Madman?
Landlord.
Liar? John?
Stop it! This is counsel, I say. Stop it! The enemy is out there.
No, Mr. Rodney. Enemy is here.
No, I say. He's out there. England, closing in, cutting off the air. There's no time, no air. Thomas! Caesar! Doctor!
Colonel McKean,
It's the cancer.
you should go home. Yes, a man should die in his own bed. John Adams.
I'm here, Caesar.
I leave you a divided Delaware. Forgive me.
I'll take you home, Caesar.
I'll be back within the week.
Mr. President, South Carolina calls the question.
What's that, Mr. Rutledge?
South Carolina desires to end the debate.
Delaware seconds.
What?
What?
Gentlemen, please. The question has been called and seconded. Mr. Secretary, you will record the vote.
Franklin, do something. Think.
I'm thinking, but nothing's coming. Those in favor of the resolution on independence, as proposed by the colony of Virginia, signify by saying.
Mr. Secretary, can you read the resolution again?
What?
I've forgotten it.
Oh my!
Resolved, that these united colonies are, and of a right ought to be, free and independent. That
I beg your pardon. I am the Reverend John Witherspoon, new delegate from New Jersey. Dr. Franklin, I regret I must be the bearer of unhappy tidings, but your son, the Royal Governor of New Jersey, is taken prisoner and has been moved under guard to the colony of Connecticut for safekeeping.
But he is unharmed, sir.
When last I heard he was, yes, sir.
Then why the long face? I hear Connecticut's an excellent location. Why'd they arrest the little rat?
Our New Jersey legislature has recalled the old delegation to this Congress and has sent a new one.
Quickly, man. Where do you stand on independence?
Haven't I made that clear? I suppose I haven't. But that was the reason for the change. We've been instructed to vote for independence.
Mr. President, Massachusetts is now ready for the vote on independence and reminds the chair of its privilege to decide all votes that are deadlocked.
I won't forget, Mr. Adams. The chair would like to take this opportunity to welcome the Reverend Witherspoon to this Congress and appoint him congressional chaplain, if you accept the post.
With much pleasure, sir.
Very well then. Mr. Thompson, you may now proceed with the vote on independence.
those in favor of the resolution on independence, as proposed by the colony of Virginia, signify by.
Mr. President, Pennsylvania moves that any vote in favor for independence must be unanimous.
What?
I second the vote.
Judge Wilson.
No vote's ever had to be unanimous, Dickinson, and you know it.
Yes, but this one must be.
On what grounds?
That no colony be torn from its mother country without its own consent.
Here. But it'll never be unanimous.
If you say so, Mr. Adams.
It has been moved and seconded that the vote on independence must be unanimous in order to carry. Those in favor, signify by saying yea.
Yay!
6 colonies say yea. Against?
Nay!
6 colonies say nay.
Mr. Secretary, New York abstains.
Courteously.
Mr. Morris, why does New York constantly abstain? Why doesn't New York simply stay in New York? Very well. Vote is tied. The principles of independence have no better advocate in this Congress than its president. That is why I must join those who vote for unanimity.
What are you doing, John? You sunk us.
Hear me out. Don't you see that any colony that opposes independence will be forced to fight on the side of England? That will be setting brother against brother. Is our new nation to carry the mark of Cain? I see no other way. Either we walk together, or together we stay where we are. Very well. Proceed, Mr. Thompson.
A unanimous vote being necessary to carry. If any be opposed to the resolution...
Mr. President,
For heaven's sake, let me get through it once.
I move for postponement.
John's right, we need a postponement.
On what grounds?
On what grounds?
Mr. President, how can this Congress vote on independence without a declaration of some sort defining it?
What sort of declaration?
You know, listing our goals and aims for the future, all the reasons for the separation, ditto, etc., etc.
We know those, don't we?
Well, yes, we know them. But what about the rest of the world? Certainly we require the aid of a powerful nation, such as France or Spain. And such a declaration would be consistent with European delicacy.
Come now, Mr. Adams. You have to do better than that. Answer straight. What would be its purpose?
Well,
Place before mankind the common sense of subject. In terms so plain and straightforward as to command their assent.
Mr. President, I second the motion to postpone the vote on independence for a period of time sufficient for the writing of the declaration.
It has been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson?
Those in favor of the motion to postpone, signify by saying yea.
Yay!
6 colonies say yea. Opposed?
Nay!
6 colonies say nay.
Mr. Secretary, do your absence.
Mr. Morris, what in hell goes on in New York?
I'm sorry, Mr. President, but the simple fact is that our legislature has never sent out explicit instruction on anything.
Never. That's impossible.
Have you ever been to a meeting of the New York legislature? They'll speak very fast and very loud and nobody pays any attention to anybody else, with the result that nothing ever gets done. I beg the Congress' pardon.
Very well. My sympathies, Mr. Livingston. The vote again being tied, this chair decides in favor of postponement. So ruled. A committee will now be formed to manage this declaration, said document to be written, debated, and approved by the beginning of July, 3 weeks hence a time, in which case we'll be ready to vote on Virginia's resolution of independence. Is that clear? Very well. Will the following gentlemen please serve on the committee? Dr. Benjamin Franklin, Mr. John Adams, Mr. Roger Sherman, Mr. Robert Livingston, and of course, Mr. Richard Henry Lee.
Excuse me, but I must be returning to the sovereign state of Virginia, for I have been asked to serve as governor. Therefore, I must decline. Respectfully.
Very well. Mr. Lee, you are excused. I suppose we can leave this to four-man committee.
just a minute. This business needs a Virginian. I propose a replacement. Mr. Thomas Jefferson.
No,
Very well, Mr. Adams. Mr. Jefferson will serve.
no, I'm going home to see my wife.
Move to adjourn.
I haven't seen her in 6 months.
That's
You can't do
moved
that.
and seconded. Any objections?
Yes, I have objections.
So cool. Congress stands adjourned.
I haven't seen my wife in 6 months, guys.
All right, gentlemen, let's get on with it. Who will write my Declaration of Independence?
Mr. Adams, I say you who should write it. To your legal mind and brilliance we defer.
Is that so? Well, if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their quill pens through it. I'm obnoxious and disliked, you know that, sir.
Yes, I know.
So I say you should write it, Franklin. Yes, you.
Oh, no.
Yes, you, Dr. Franklin. You.
But,
You.
Mr. Adams, Mr. Adams, the things I write are only light extemporanea. I won't put politics on paper, it's a mania, so I refuse to use the pen in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, refuse to use the pen.
Mr. Sherman, I say you should write it. You are never controversial, as it were.
That is true.
Whereas Whereas if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their quick pens through it. I'm obnoxious and disliked, you know that, sir.
Yes, I do.
So I say you should write it, Roger. Yes, you.
Good heavens, no.
Yes, you, Roger Sherman. You.
Mr. Adams, but Mr. Adams, I cannot write with any style or proper etiquette. I don't know a part is simple from a predicate. I am just a simple copy from Connecticut.
Connecticut, a simple cobbler he.
Mr. Livingston, maybe you should write it. You have many friends and you're a diplomat.
Oh, that word.
Whereas if I'm the one to do it, they'll run their quill pens through it.
He's obnoxious and disliked, did you know
I
that?
hadn't heard.
So I say you should write it, Robert. Yes, you.
Not me, Johnny.
Yes, you, Robert Livingston. You.
But Mr. Adams, dear Mr. Adams, I've been presented with a new song by the noble stork. So I'm going home to celebrate at Papa Court with all the Livingstons together back in old New York.
New York, New York, Livingston's going to Papa Court. Mr. Adams, leave me alone!
Mr. Jefferson.
Mr. Adams, I've not seen my wife in 6 months. I beg of you, please!
And we solemnly declare we will preserve our liberties, being with one mind, resolved to die free men, than to live slaves. Thomas Jefferson, on the necessity of taking up arms, 1775, magnificent. For a man of only 33 years, you have a happy talent of composition and a remarkable felicity of expression. Now then, sir, will you be a patriot or a lover?
A lover.
No! Now you write it, Mr. J.
Who will make me, Mr. A?
I!
You.
Yes!
How?
By physical force, if necessary. It's your duty! Your duty, damn it!
Mr. Adams. Damn you, Mr. Adams. You're obnoxious and disliked, it cannot be denied. But once again you stand between me and my lovely bride. Oh, Mr. Adams, you are driving me to homicide!
Homicide, homicide.
Quiet! Choice is yours, Mr. Jefferson. Do as you like with it.
We may see murder yet.
Damn that man. Damn that man.
Jefferson! Jefferson, you had a whole week, man. Are you finished? Is it done? Can I see it? comes a time in the lives of men when it becomes necessary to advance from that subordination in which they have hitherto This is terrible. Where's the rest of it? Do you mean to say it's not done?
No, sir, I mean to say it's not begun.
Good God, a whole week! The entire earth was created in a week!
Someday you must tell me how you did it.
Cheer up, Jefferson. Get out of the dumps. It'll come out right, I promise you. Now get back to work. Franklin, tell him to get to work.
He's asleep.
Halloo, and whose little girl are you? John, who is she?
His wife. I hope.
What makes you think so?
Because I sent for her.
What?
It simply occurred to me that the sooner his problem was solved, the sooner our problem was solved.
Good thinking, John. Good thinking. Well, come along, John. Come along.
Come along where? There's work to be done.
Obviously. Well, good night, John.
Have you eaten, Franklin?
Not yet.
I hear the turkey's fresh with a bunch of grapes.
Have a rendezvous, John.
Oh,
I've been asking you long, but talking makes her nervous.
yes, of course.
Well, good night, then.
Good night. Oh, Abigail. I'm very lonely, Abigail.
Are you, John? And as long as you were sending for wives, why didn't you send for your own?
Don't be unreasonable, Abigail.
Now I'm unreasonable. You must add that to your list.
List?
The catalog of my faults you included in your last letter.
They were fondly intended, madam.
That I play at cards badly.
A compliment.
That my posture is crooked.
An endearment.
That I read, write, and think too much.
An irony.
That I am pigeon-toed.
Ah, well, there you have me, Abby. I'm afraid you are pigeon-toed. Come to Philadelphia, Abigail. Please come.
I do want to. But you know it's not possible now. Children have the measles.
Ah, yes. So you wrote. Tom and little Abby.
Only now it's Quincy and Charles. John, the farm here in Braintree is failing. The chickens and the geese have all died. And the apples never survived the late frost. How do you suppose she managed to get away?
The winters are softer in Virginia.
And their women, John?
Fit for Virginians, madam. But pale, puny things beside New England girls.
John, thank you for that.
How goes it with you, Abigail?
Not well, John. Not at all well. I live like a nun in a cloister, solitary, lonely, I hate it. And you, John?
I live like a monk in an abbey, ditto, ditto, I hate it.
Write to me with sentimental evasion. Let me revel in romantic illusion.
Do you still smell of vanilla and spring air? And is my favorite lover's pillow still firm and fair?
What was there, John, still is there, John. Come soon as you can to my cloister. I've forgotten the feel of your hand.
Tonight and we shall walk in Cupid's grove together, and I'll fondly survey the promised land.
Tell them to live
As I ever was, and ever shall be.
yours, yours, yours.
I was up till all hours. Have you been here long?
Not long.
What are you doing down here? I expected you'd be up there, cracking the whip.
The shutters are still closed.
My word, so they are.
Dare we call?
If Congressman dares anything. Go ahead.
Me?
Your voice is more piercing. Look at her, John. Just look at her.
I am.
She's even more magnificent than I remember. Good morrow, madam.
Good morrow.
Is it the habit in Philadelphia for men to shout at ladies from the streets?
Not at all, madam, but we're not.
And for men of your age, it is not only unseemly, it's unsightly.
Excuse me, madam, but we met last evening.
I spoke to no one last evening.
Indeed you did not, but nevertheless we presented ourselves. This is Mr. John Adams, and I am Dr. Benjamin Franklin, inventor of the stove.
Please, I know your names very well. But you say you presented yourselves.
It's of no matter. Your mind would well taken elsewhere.
My husband is not yet up.
Shall we start over? Please join us, madam.
Yes, of course.
No wonder the man couldn't write. Who could think of independence married to her?
Do forgive me. It is indeed an honor meeting the two greatest men in America.
Certainly the greatest within earshot, anyways.
I am not an idle flatterer, Dr. Franklin. My husband admires you both greatly.
Then we are doubly flattered, for we admire very much that which your husband admires. Please tell us about yourself, madam. We have precious little information. What's your first name?
Martha.
Oh, Martha. You could have at least told us that. I'm afraid your husband doesn't say very much.
He's the most silent man in Congress. I've never heard him utter 3 sentences together.
Not everyone's a talker, John.
It's true, you know. Tom is not a talker. He never speaks his passions. He never speaks his views. Whereas other men speak volumes, the man I love is mute. In truth, I can't recall being moved with words at all. Even now.
Go on, madam.
Yes, how did he win you? How does he hold on to a bounty such as you?
Well, surely you've noticed that Tom is a man of many accomplishments. Author, lawyer, farmer, architect, and still one other that I hesitate to mention.
Don't hesitate, madam. Don't hesitate.
Yes, what else can that red-headed tombstone do?
He plays the violin. He tucks it right under his chin. And he bows, oh he bows, for he knows, yes he knows, that it's high, 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 diddle diddle twixt my heart. Tom and his fiddle, my strings are unstrung.
Kindly go away. Your obedient T. Jefferson. Incredible.
And what follows is a complete and up-to-date list of all the committees of this Congress, now sitting, about to sit, or just having sat. A committee formed to consider the problem of counterfeit money, designated as a counterfeit money committee. A committee formed to think, perhaps to do, but in any case to gather, to meet, to confer, and perhaps even resolve, that each rifle regiment be allowed at least one drum and 5 attachments to each company, designated as the Drum and Fight Committee.
Look at it, Doctor. Democracy. What I don't call a charming form of government, full of variety and disorder. I never knew Plato had been to Philadelphia.
McNair, open the window.
Ben, I want you to do some cards that Ron has printed out that I think will save everyone around here a lot of time and effort, considering the bad disposition that's been going around lately. Dear sir, you are, without a doubt, a rogue, a rascal, a villain, a thief, a scoundrel, and a mean, dirty, stinking, sneaking, sniveling, pocket-picking, no-good son of a gun. And you signed it. What do you think?
Stephen, I'll take a dozen right now.
The committee formed to answer all congressional correspondence, designated as a congressional correspondence committee.
All right, Franklin, enough socializing. There's work to be done.
Good morning, John.
Yes, good morning, good morning. Now then, let's get to it.
Let's get to what?
Unanimity, of course. Look at that board. Just 6 nays to win over in little more than a week.
All right, John, where do we start?
How about Delaware? It's a sad thing to find her on the wrong side after all this time. Is there any news of Rodney?
McKean's back.
Thomas!
Committee formed to keep secrets, designated as a secrets committee.
How did you leave Caesar? Is he still alive?
Yeah, but the journey to Dover was fearful hard on him.
But you got him safely home.
I did, but I doubt he'll ever step foot out of it again.
That leaves you and Reed, split down the middle. Will he come over?
I don't know, he's a stubborn little wart.
Then keep at him. Talk until you wear him down.
John, face the facts, will ya? If it were just Reed standing in our way, it wouldn't be so bad. But take a look for yourself. Maryland, Pennsylvania, the entire South. It's impossible.
It's impossible if we all stand around complaining about it. To work, McKean. 1 foot in front of the other.
I believe I've committed a better way. Never put off till tomorrow that which you...
Franklin, stop.
All right, John, who's next?
Committee formed to consider the problem of counterfeit money, designated as the counterfeit money committee.
Pennsylvania and Maryland. I suggest you try to get your own house back in order while I take a crack at old Bacon-Face. Look at him stuff himself. Mr. Chase, how goes it? When are you coming to your senses?
Please, Mr. Adams, not while I'm eating.
Mr. Wilson. It's time to assert yourself. When you were a judge, how did you ever make a decision?
The decisions I make are all based on legality and precedence. But there is no legality here, and certainly no precedent.
Because it's a new idea, you clot! We'll be setting our own precedent.
No, Mr. McKean. Reed came into this world screaming no, and you're determined to leave it the same way, you little worm.
America's waiting on you, Chase. This whole Congress is waiting on you. The whole world is waiting on you.
Leave me alone, Mr. Adams. You're wasting your time. If I thought we could win this war, I'd get the front of your ranks. But you must know it's impossible. You've heard General Washington's dispatches. His army has fallen apart.
Washington's exaggerating the situation in order to arouse this torpid Congress into action. Why, as chairman of the War Committee, I can tell you for a fact that the Army has never been in better shape. Good God.
From the commander, Army of the United Colonies in New York, dispatch number 1157. To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President. Dear Sir, it is with the utmost despair that I must report to you the confusion and disorder that reign in every department.
Good Lord.
The Continental soldier is as nothing ever seen in this or any other century. He is a misfit, ignorant of hygiene, destructive, disorderly, and totally disrespectful of rank. Only this last is understandable, as there is an incredible reek of stupidity amongst the officers. I beseech the Congress to dispatch the War Committee to New Brunswick in the hopes of restoring some of the order and discipline we need to survive. Your obedient, G. Washington.
That man could depress a hyena.
Well, Mr. Adams, you're the chairman of the War Committee. Do you feel up to New Brunswick?
Come, come, Mr. Adams. You must see that it's hopeless. Let us recall General Washington and disband the Continental Army before we are overwhelmed.
Ah, yes, the English would like that, wouldn't they?
Why don't you ask them yourself? They ought to be here any minute.
When they hang you, Mr. Adams, I hope you'll put in a good word for the Russians.
Face facts. A handful of drunken, disorderly recruits against the entire British Army, the finest musketmen on earth. How can we win? How can we hope to survive?
Answer me straight, Chase. If you thought we could beat the Redcoats, would Maryland say yea to independence?
Well, I suppose.
No supposing, Mr. Chase. Would you or wouldn't you?
Very well. Yes, we would.
Then come with me to New Brunswick and see for yourself.
John, are you mad?
You heard what Washington said. It's a shambles.
They're pushing you into it, Johnny.
What do you say, Chase?
Go ahead, Sam. You sound happy up there.
All right. Why not? And maybe it'll be John Adams who comes to his senses.
Mr. President, the War Committee will heed General Washington's request. A party consisting of Mr. Chase, Dr. Franklin, and myself will leave immediately.
Is that satisfactory to you, Dr. Franklin?
Franklin, wake up! We're going to New Brunswick.
What for?
Wine and women!
Why didn't you say so?
Come on, Chase, there's no time left to lose. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
How would you like to try and borrow $1 from one of them? Would you like a rum, General? General.
Lord, I ain't even a corporal.
Well, what's the army know? Sit down, gentlemen. The chair rules it's too darn hot to work today. What's it like out there, General?
You probably know more than me.
Sitting around in here? This is the last place to find out what's going on. You don't see them rushing off to get killed, do you? They sure are great ones for sending others, I'll tell you that.
Who sits here?
Edward Rutledge of South Carolina. Where are you from, General?
Watertown.
Where's that?
Massachusetts.
Oh, well then you belong over there. But be careful. There's something about that chair that makes a man awful noisy. You seen any fighting?
Sure did. I seen my two best friends get shot dead on the very same day. Right on the village green it was too. And when they didn't come home for supper, their mamas went down the hill looking for them. Miss Lowell, she found Timothy right off. But Miss Pickett, she looked near half the night for Willie. Cause he'd gone and caught up the green before he died. Mama, hey mama, come looking for me. I'm here in the meadow by the red tree. Mama, hey mama, look sharp, here I be.
Secretary will read the report of the Declaration Committee. Mr. Thompson?
When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to assume amongst the powers of the earth that separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect.
Jefferson! We're back, and we've got Maryland. That is, we will, as soon as Chase gets through telling the Maryland Assembly what we saw in New Brunswick.
He's in Annapolis right now, describing a ragtag group of provincial militiamen who couldn't march together, train together, or drill together. But when a flock of ducks flew by and they saw their first dinner in 3 days, could they shoot together? It was a slaughter!
They're reading the Constitution.
What? How far have they got?
To render the military independent of and superior to the civil power.
Independent of and superior to.
Well, there's nothing to fear. It's a masterpiece. I'm to be congratulated.
You?
For making him write it.
Ah, yes. Of course.
It's a masterpiece, I say. They will cheer every word, every letter.
I wish I felt that way.
I believe I can put it better.
So then attend as friend to friend our Declaration Committee.
For us I see immortality
In Philadelphia city, a farmer,
A lawyer.
and a sage, a bit gouty in the leg. You know, it's quite bizarre to think that here we are, plaguing midwives to an egg.
Egg? What egg?
Why, America, the birth of a new nation.
If only we could be sure what kind of bird it was going to be.
Tom has a point. What sort of a bird should we choose as a symbol of our new America?
The eagle.
The dove.
The turkey.
The eagle.
The dove.
The eagle.
Fine. The eagle.
The turkey.
The eagle is a majestic bird.
The eagle is a scavenger, a thief, a scoundrel, a symbol of over 10 centuries of European mischief.
And the turkey?
A truly noble bird, a native of America, and a source of sustenance to our settlers. An incredibly brave fellow who would not flinch from attacking an entire regiment of Englishmen single-handedly. Therefore, the national bird of America is going to be...
The eagle.
The eagle.
We're waiting for the chirp, chirp, chirp of an eaglet being born. Waiting for the chirp, chirp, chirp on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator.
God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone, let alone an egg.
We're waiting for the scratch, scratch, scratch of that tiny little fellow, waiting for the egg to hatch on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator. God knows the temperature's hot enough to hatch a stone.
But will it hatch an egg?
The Declaration will be a triumph. A triumph, I tell you. I'm sure of anything. I'm sure of that. A triumph. And if it isn't, we still have 4 days left to think of something else. The eagle's gonna crack the shell of the egg that England laid. Yes, sir, we can tell on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator.
And just as Tom here has written, though the shell may belong to Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.
And just as Tom here has written, we say to hell with Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.
right due. And for the support of this declaration, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. This Congress has heard the report of the Declaration Committee. Are there any who wish to offer amendments, alterations, or deletions to this document?
Mr. President!
Gentlemen, please. McNair, open the window. Colonel McKean, I saw your hand first.
Mr. Jefferson, it's a bonny paper you've written, but somewhere in it you've mentioned Scottish and foreign mercenaries sent to destroy us. Scottish, Thomas.
It's in reference to a Highland regiment that stood against us at Boston.
Ugh, it was more likely Germans wearing kilts to disguise their being there. I ask you remove the word and avoid giving offense to a good people.
Mr. Jefferson.
Mr. President!
Reverend Witherspoon.
Mr. Jefferson, nowhere do you mention the Supreme Being. Certainly this was an oversight, for how could we hope to achieve a victory without his help? Therefore, I must humbly suggest the following addition to a final sentence, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence.
Mr. Jefferson.
Mr. Reed.
According to you, Mr. Jefferson, you accuse the king of depriving us of rights of trial by jury. This is untrue. In Delaware, we always had trial by jury.
In Massachusetts, we have not.
Then the words "according to" should be added.
Mr. President,
Mr. Hopkins.
Oh, I've no objections, Johnny. I'm just trying to get a drink.
Should have known. McNair, get him wrong.
Mr. President? Mr. President!
Mr. Livingston.
Mr. Jefferson, I beg you to remember that we still have friends in England. I see no point in antagonizing them with such phrases as unfeeling brethren and enemies of war. Our quarrel is with the British king, not the British people.
Be sensible, Livingston. Remove those phrases and the entire paragraph becomes meaningless. And it so happens, it's among the most poetic and the most stirring of any passage in the entire document.
We're a Congress, Mr. Adams, not a literary society. I ask that the entire paragraph be stricken.
Mr. Jefferson.
Good God, Jefferson, don't you ever intend to speak up for your own work?
I had hoped the work would speak for itself.
Mr. Hancock.
What is it, Mr. McNair?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot say that I am very fond of the United States of America being the name of our new
Well, I don't care what you're fond of, Mr. McNair. You're not even a member of this Congress. Mr. Sherman?
Father Jefferson, I've noted at least 2 direct and distinct references to the British Parliament in your declaration. But why should we alienate this august body in light of our contentions when they've never had any direct authority over us anyway?
This is a revolution, damn it! We're going to have to offend somebody.
John, you'll have an attack of apoplexy if you're not careful.
Have you heard what they're doing to it? Have you heard?
Yes, I've heard, but...
And so far it's only been our friends. Can you imagine what our enemies will do?
The word parliament will be removed wherever it occurs.
They won't be satisfied until they remove one of the S from Jefferson's name.
Courage, John. It won't last much longer.
Mr. Dickinson.
Mr. Jefferson, I have very little interest in your paper, as there is no doubt in my mind that we have all but heard the end of it. But I am curious about one thing. Why do you refer to King George as a tyrant?
Because he is a tyrant.
I remind you, Mr. Jefferson, that this tyrant is still your king.
When a king becomes a tyrant, he breaks the contract binding his citizens to it.
How so?
By taking away their rights.
Rights that came from him in the first place.
All except one. The right to be free comes from nature.
Mr. Wilson, do we, in Pennsylvania, consider King George a tyrant?
I don't know. I mean, no, he's not a tyrant in Pennsylvania.
Your declaration does not speak for us all. I demand the word tyrant be removed.
Just a moment, Mr. Thompson. I do not consent. The king is a tyrant whether we say so or not. so we might as well start saying so.
I already scratched it out.
Then scratch it back in.
Put it back, Mr. Thompson. The king will remain a tyrant. Mr. Hughes?
Nowhere do you mention deep-sea fishing rights.
Oh my God! Good God! Fishing rights? How long is this piddling to go on? I tell you, this is a masterful expression of the American mind.
Well, if there are no more changes...
Just a moment, Mr. President. I wonder if we could prevail upon Mr. Thompson to read a section of Mr. Jefferson's declaration. The one beginning, he has waged cruel war.
Mr. Thompson?
He's affected, confined, advocated, plundering kingdoms of trade. His activity is incited. He's waged, here it is. He has waged cruel war against human nature itself, in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, capturing and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, determined to keep open a market where men should be bought and sold. He has prostituted.
That will suffice, Mr. Thompson, I thank you. Mr. Jefferson, I can't quite make out what it is you're saying.
Slavery, Mr. Rutledge.
Ah, you're referring to us slaves of the king.
No, sir, I'm referring to our slaves. Black slaves.
Black slaves? Why didn't you say so? Were you trying to hide your meaning?
No, sir, I was not.
Just another literary license, then.
If you like.
No, sir, I don't like it all. To us in South Carolina, black slavery is our peculiar institution and a cherished way of life.
Nevertheless, we must abolish it. Nothing is more certainly written in the Book of Fate than that these people shall be free.
I am not concerned with the Book of Fate right now, sir. I am more concerned with what's in your little paper there.
That little paper there deals with freedom for Americans.
Oh, really? Mr. Adams is now calling our black slaves Americans. Are they now?
Yes, they are. They're people, and they're here. If there's any other requirement, I've never heard of it.
They are here, yes. But they are not people, sir. They are property.
No, sir, they are property. They are people being treated as property. I tell you, the rights of human nature are mortally wounded by this infamous practice.
Then see to your own wounds, sir. For you are a practitioner, are you not?
I've already resolved to release my slaves.
Then I'm sorry. For you have also resolved the ruination of your personal economy.
Economy. Always economy. There's more to this than a filthy purse string, Rutledge. It's an offense against man and God.
It's a stinking business, Mr. Rutledge. A stinking business.
Is it really, Mr. Hopkins? Then what's that I smell floating down from the north? Could it be the aroma of hypocrisy? For who holds the other end of that filthy purse string, Mr. Adams? Our northern brethren are feeling a bit tender towards our slaves. They don't keep slaves, oh no. But they are willing to be considerable carriers of slaves to others. They are willing for the shilling. Well, haven't you heard, Mr. Adams? Clink, clink. Molasses to rum to slaves. Oh, what a beautiful waltz. You dance with us, we dance with you, in molasses and rum and slaves. Who sails the ships out of Boston, laden with Bibles and rum? Who drinks a toast to the Ivory Coast? Hail Africa, the slavers have come. New England with Bibles and rum. Then it's off with the rum and the Bibles. Take on the slaves, clink, clink. Then hail and farewell to the smell of the African coast. Molasses to rum to slaves. 'Tisn't morals, 'tis money that saves. Shall we dance to the sound
of the profitable pound in molasses and rum and slaves. Who sails the ships out of Guinea, laden with Bibles and slaves? 'Tis Boston can boast to the West Indies coast, Jamaica with rum what she craves. Antigua, Barbados, we bring Bibles and slaves. Now, gentlemen, you mustn't think our northern friends merely see our slaves as figures on a ledger. Oh no, sir, they see them as figures on the block. Not as faces at the auctions, gentlemen. White faces on the African walls. New England faces. Seafaring faces. Put them in the ships. Cram them in the ships. Stuff them in the ships. Down, gentlemen. Let the auction begin. Yah-ho! Yah-ho! Moakunda! You hear that, gentlemen? That's the cry of the auctioneer. Yah-ho! Yah-ho! Moakunda! Black gold for sale, living gold. Yah-ho! Yah-ho! Moakunda!
For the love of God, Mr. Rutledge, please.
Molasses to rum to slaves. Who sails the ships back to Boston, laden with gold? See it gleam. Whose fortunes are made in the triangle trade. Hail slavery, the New England dream. Mr. Adams, I give you a toast. Hail Boston! Hail Charleston! Who stinketh the most?
What's wrong? I thought you'll have to forgive them, Mr. Chase. They've just suffered a slight setback. And after all, what's a man profited if he'll gain Maryland and lose the entire South? Matthew, chapter 16, verse 26.
Mr. McNair.
I know, the flies.
No. A rum.
Well, what are you all sitting around for? We're wasting time. Precious time. Thomas, I want you to ride back into Delaware and fetch back Caesar Rodney.
John, are you mad? It's 80 miles on horseback and he's a dying man.
No, he's a patriot.
John, what good'll it do? The South is down its end.
And suppose they change their minds? Can we get Delaware without Rodney?
What a lousy bunch we are.
Stephen.
I'm going to the tavern, Johnny. If I can do anything for you there, let me know.
Roger.
These facts, John. It's finished.
I'm sorry, John.
Chase. Bartlett.
What's the use, John? The boat's tomorrow morning.
There's less than a full day left.
There's nothing more we can do, John. The slavery clause has to go.
Franklin, what are you saying?
It's a luxury we can't afford.
A luxury? 500,000 souls and Dr. Franklin calls it a luxury?
You forget yourself, sir. I founded the first anti-slavery society on this continent.
Don't wave your credentials at me. Maybe you had them renewed.
The issue here is independence. Maybe you've lost sight of that fact, but I have not. How dare you jeopardize our cause when we've come so far? These men, no matter how much we disagree with them, are not ribbon clerks to be ordered about. They're proud, accomplished men, the cream of their colonies. And whether you like it or not, them and the people they represent will be a part of the new country you hope to create. So either start learning how to live with them, or pack up and go home. But in any case, stop acting like a Boston fishwife.
Good God. What's happened to me? John Adams. The great John Adams. Wise man of the East. What have I come to? My law practice down the pipe. My farm mortgaged to the hilt. At a stage in life when other men prosper, I am reduced to living in Philadelphia. Oh, Abigail, what am I going to do?
Do, John.
I need your advice.
You don't usually ask for my advice.
Well, there doesn't appear to be anyone else right now.
Very well. What is it?
The entire South has walked out of this Congress. Washington is on the verge of total annihilation, and it seems the precious cause for which I've labored these several years has come to nothing. And it seems I am obnoxious and disliked.
Nonsense, John.
That I am unwilling to face reality.
Foolishness, John.
That I am pig-headed.
Well, there you have me. I'm afraid you are pig-headed.
Has it been any kind of a life for you, Abby? God knows I haven't given you much.
I never asked for more. After all, being Mrs. John Adams is quite a lot for one lifetime.
Is it, Abby?
Just think of it. To be married to the man who was first in line to be hanged.
Yes, the agitator. Why, Abby? You must tell me what it is. I know that I am always dissatisfied, but lately I find that I reek of discontentment. It fills my throat, it floods my brain, and sometimes I fear there is no longer a dream, but only the discontentment.
Oh, John. Can you really know so little about yourself? And think so little of me? You would believe I would marry the man you have described. Have you forgotten what you used to say to me? Commitment, Abby, commitment. There are only two creatures of value on the face of this earth. Those with the commitment, and those who require the commitment of others. Do you remember, John?
I remember.
Mr. Adams,
What?
there are some kegs for you.
What are they? What's in them? Who sent them?
Compliments of the Concord Ladies Coffee Club and the sisterhood of the True Rose Synagogue and the Friday Evening Baptist Sewing Circle and the Holy Christian Sisters of St. Clair. All for you.
Just a minute, Abigail. What's in those kegs?
Saltpeter John.
Go out and buy every damn pig in Philadelphia.
Pins! What sort of pins?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever ladies like to use for their sewing. And take those kegs to the armory. Hurry, man! Franklin, Jefferson, what are you sitting around for?
John, did you not hear a word that I said before?
Never mind that. Jefferson, here's what you gotta do. Talk to Rutledge. You're both Southern aristocrats. If he'll listen to anyone, he'll listen to you. Franklin, what are you doing? Get up.
John, I'm not even speaking to you.
It's too late for that, damn it! Get up! Get out of your chair!
I know. Do I have to talk to Wilson?
Yes. Yes, you do. Talk to him all night if you have to. Get him away from Dickinson. That's the only way to do it.
Stu from Massachusetts, John. You know where I stand. I'll do whatever you say.
No, Hancock. You're the president of the Congress. You're a fair man. Stay that way. Thompson, out of curiosity, do you stand with Mr. Dickinson or do you stand with me?
I stand with the general. Lately, had the oddest feeling. Been writing to me. There's been an expectation of receiving a reply on the subject of my last 15 dispatches. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Is anybody there? The humble and obedient.
Are you hungry, John?
No. I think I'll stay.
Good night, then.
Good night. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? They want me to quit. They say, John, give up the fight. Still, to England I say, good night, forever good night. For I have crossed the Rubicon. Let the bridge be burned behind me. Come what may, come what may. Through all the gloom, through all the gloom, I can see the rays of ravaging light and glory. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? I see fireworks. I see the pageant in pomp and parade. I hear the bells ringing out. I hear the cannon roar. I see Americans, all Americans free forevermore. How quiet the chamber is. How silent the chamber is. Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see?
Yes, Mr. Adams, I do.
Dr. Hall.
I'm sorry if I startled you. I couldn't sleep. In trying to resolve my dilemma, I remembered something I'd once read. That a representative owes the people not only his industry, but his judgment. And he betrays them, and he sacrifices it to their opinion. It was written by Edmund Burke, a member of the British Parliament.
Congress shall now vote on Virginia's resolution of independence. Caesar, thank you for coming. God bless you, sir. Call the roll, Mr. Thompson. And I remind you, gentlemen, that a single nay vote will defeat our motion. Mr. Thompson.
New Hampshire?
New Hampshire says yay.
New Hampshire says yay. Massachusetts?
Massachusetts says yay.
Massachusetts says yay. Rhode Island?
Rhode Island says yay.
Rhode Island says yay. Connecticut?
Connecticut says yay.
Connecticut says yay. New York?
New York abstains. Courteously.
New York abstains.
Courteously.
New Jersey?
New Jersey says yay.
New Jersey says yay. Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania is not ready yet. Please come back to us later.
Pennsylvania passes. Delaware?
Delaware, by a majority vote.
Aye.
Says yay.
Delaware says yay. Maryland?
Maryland says yay.
Maryland says yay. Virginia?
Virginia says yay.
Virginia says yay. North Carolina?
North Carolina yields to South Carolina.
South Carolina?
Well, Mr. Adams. Well, Mr. Rutledge, you must believe that I intend to do what I have promised.
What do you want, Rutledge?
Remove the offended passage from the document.
If we did that, we would be guilty of what we ourselves are rebelling against.
Nevertheless, remove it, or South Carolina will now and forever bear your dream of independence.
John, I beg you to consider what you're doing.
Mark me, Franklin. We give in on this, posterity will never forgive us.
That's probably true. But we won't hear a thing, John. We'll be long gone. And besides, what will posterity think we were? Demigods? We're men. No more, no less. Trying to get a nation started against greater odds than a more generous God would have allowed. John, first things first. Independence. America. For if we don't secure that, what difference will the rest make?
Well, Jefferson, say something.
There's nothing else we can do.
Well, you're the man who wrote it.
I wrote all of it, Mr. Adams.
There. There it is, Rutledge. You've got your slavery. Little good may it do you. Now vote, damn you. Mr. Jefferson, I'm afraid the word is unalienable, and not inalienable.
I'm afraid you're mistaken. Inalienable is correct.
I happen to be a Harvard graduate.
And I attended William and Mary.
Gentlemen, please. Mr. Jefferson, will you yield to Mr. Adams's request or not?
No, I will not.
Oh, very well. I'll withdraw it.
Good for you, John!
I'll talk to the printer about it later.
Very well, gentlemen. We are about to brave the storm by a skiff made of paper. How it will end, well, God only knows.
That's a pretty big signature there, Johnny.
Yeah. So Fat George in London can read it without his glasses. Step right up, gentlemen. Don't miss your chance to commit treason now.
Hancock's right. This paper is our passport to the gallows, but there's no backing out now. If we do not hang together, we shall most assuredly hang separately.
In that case, hanging doesn't seem so bad. One snap and it'll be over, just like that. Look at Reed there. He'll be dancing a jig long after I'm gone.
A kiki.
Forgive me if I don't join in this merriment, but if we're all rested now, my name is Stu, the only one on the damn thing.
From the Commander, Army of the United States, in New York. That's number 1209. The Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President. Dear Sir, I can now report with some certainty that the eve of battle is near at hand. Towards this end, I have ordered the evacuation of Manhattan and directed our defenses to take up stronger positions in the Brooklyn Heights. At the present, my forces consist entirely of Hazlitt's Delaware militia and Smallwood's Marylander. A total of 5,000 troops to stack against 25,000 of the enemy. Now begin to notice that many of them are lads under 15 and old men, none of whom can truly be called soldiers. One personal note, Mr. Lewis Morse of New York. I must regretfully report that his estate has been totally destroyed, that I have taken the liberty of transporting Mrs. Morse and 8 of the children to Connecticut in safety. 4 older boys are now enlisted in the Continental Army. As I write these words, the enemy is plainly in sight beyond the river. How it will end, only Providence can direct. But dear God, what brave men I shall lose for this business men. Your obedient G. Washington.
Very well. McNair, go ring the bell.
Mr. President,
Mr. Morris?
how is New York? Outside highway.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Stephen, sit down.
No, I want to see every man's face as he signs.
Very well. Mr. Thompson?
New Hampshire, Dr. Josiah Bartlett. Massachusetts, Mr. John Adams. Rhode Island, Mr. Stephen Hopkins. Connecticut, Mr. Robert Sherman. New York, Mr. Lewis Morris. New Jersey, the Reverend John Witherspoon. Pennsylvania, Dr. Benjamin
welcome Ted and Miss Van Dusen to the stage. If you could both come to the stage. Thank you, thank you. So much for us. Miss Van Dusen does so much for us each year, putting up with our singing and our shenanigans. We wanted to thank you with flowers.
Oh, thank you.
A card and a book. And Ted, he helps put the stage together. He carries all the heavy things that I can't carry even though I try. And he does so much for us, so thank you, Ted.
I wanted to say I got a text from from Nathan earlier. He apologizes that he's not here, he's ill, but he was sure that you would do wonderfully if you did.
Please give one more round of applause for these amazing